was a fun map, but for Winthrop University and their fans, it's not going to be the best one in the end, as they're going to fall to Qbert Academy. They put up a decent fight, that is for sure, but Qbert Academy, they were able to read them, they were able to outshoot them, and they take the win in the end. I'm back, guys. Did you guys miss me?
Yes, actually, Sierra, you were gone. You left us in the green room by yourselves. We didn't know what to do. We've never been left by ourselves. We just but now it's fine.
Yeah.
And I think things are going the way that we expected them to go. I gotta say, in the first half, it was like a point of concern because it was Qbert Academy that were not getting the amount of rounds that I expected on the attacking side. But as we go into the second half, there was a pause, and you can tell that they're able to figure out this playstyle that Winthrop wanted to force them to play. So it was a faster pace that we saw coming through for Qbert Academy, playing a lot more aggressive on the defense, and just having some great impact. I think the last few rounds, it was just Nismo getting the first kill a few rounds. It just kind of looking for it and knowing and punishing those peaks that Winthrop University kept doing to try to take an advantage.
It was an ally that had a huge step up early on and was really great on kind of calling out. But as things went on, this Qbert Academy squad across the board, they did so good at holding their sights and not over-rotating, but kind of just in time, and just such a good read on the game. Like, Nismo being able to be huge for some of those opening picks you called, and then just this util. They got that A orb every single time, Ash. They had ult galore, and really being able to just slowly but surely whittled Winthrop University out.
Yeah, I think that's the big picture here, right? We talked a bit about those compositional differences during the agent select before we actually headed into the server, and that was the big point of contention. Was okay for Qbert Academy, they have a lot more tools to actually look to set up, and that was a really big difference maker here. I think that's why we saw so much success on those retakes. Qbert had also, like, they had a really hot start to this map too, with the initial 4-0 that they started things off with, and they managed to even just like continue to push that momentum forward even when Winthrop was capable of stopping the bleeding. And I think that is something that you would kind of expect from the Qbert Academy side. It feels sometimes like once Redux gets going, once he's feeling comfortable, there's little that can slow him down.
Yeah, Redux has been a point of conversation for a lot of reasons. And the fact that he was so aggressive in Winthrop University, if they challenge it, well, it's maybe not working out. If they don't, well, then Qbert know what they're going to do. Was a little bit tough for the team. And looking at overall at all of the player performances here, it was a Redux that was difficult to get through, but then not the only one. There was Scuba that had quite a few clutch moments. There was even the 1v2 that he was able to take down, putting up a heck of a performance as well. And Dan, that kind of just extended across the board.
A lot of these rounds were some hero plays for both of the teams to try to close it up, especially for Winthrop. I did think they have a good chance on the second half on the attacking side, but again, there was a pause, and that's when you see Qbert Academy adapting into this faster playstyle that Winthrop wanted to use against them, and they started being a lot more proactive on that defensive side, and that's really what made the difference. We talked about Redux, we already talked about it, but I think what is so interesting is he just gets some insane multi-kills, just spray transfers. He is really doing it all, and was the reason why, as Ash was saying, when he wakes up, it's impossible to slow him down.
Even when Winthrop University were on the attack, it was a very different impact coming out from the two duelists. Infiltrator, we had talked about that head-to-head going into it. And on this raise, it was a Qbert Academy that was shutting him down. Even when he was pushing aggressive out on that C site, Ash, the showstopper, like, miss was so unfortunate. But even then, like, they were so quick on making sure Infiltrator did not get any space taken.
Yeah, and I think, again, we keep talking about the utility difference between these two teams. And Redux, he had an incredible series. Infiltrator did struggle in those opening engagements. Redux being able to shut him down quite consistently in that regard. But again, that also has to do with, the back line on the side of Winthrop University, what they're actually able to put out there to help him gain that space, help him be in advantageous positions to actually take a lot of those duels, and they just don't have as much utility compared to the side of Qbert Academy, where Redux, not only is he able to rely on T-Dog's breach coming through to help him to gain a lot of that space and control. But he also has his own stuns where the Neon does have a little bit of that ability to be a bit more self-sufficient. Meanwhile, with Infiltrator on that Raze is a different story where you're really looking for some of that setup potential that just wasn't there.
And that is a tough map to lose for Winthrop University. Looking at the rest of the series, that was their map pick. And then looking at the next in the series, this is a exceptionally strong map for Qbert Academy. I definitely don't think Winthrop University are bad at this map, Dan. They have a lot of reps here. But if you look at their history in comparison, it's a tough one.
For sure, and that's why I said before we went into the first map that the win condition to me for Winthrop was they needed to win this map of Lotus because that fracture is, I just don't see a world where Qbert Academy is going to lose it. And we, like you said, both the teams have played it a little bit, but when we talk about the composition that we've seen for Winthrop most recently, this is where Moops is playing the chamber. And I don't want to put that much pressure on him, but I feel like those wins and the last one they got against YFP, it relied a lot on him and the lyrics that he had, the timings that he had. And there's a lot to ask for a chamber that we don't even see that often, and it's not meta for a reason. So now you're looking at a Qbert Academy that should be really comfortable on this map. We're going back to Redux on the Raze. We're going back to that standard composition where Nismo is once again the most comfortable in that role and that agent of KO. So it's simply a very fitting, very comfortable map for Qbert Academy, and I think they can take it in too.
Yeah, the last 2 times they have ran the same composition, Ash, and it is something that has just been working out so well. When you're having everybody on just like their top agent, like it's a tough team to go up against. Ever since they swapped over to this current composition, the one you get to see on the left, like they've looked unstoppable.
Yeah, I think that, Dan hit the nail on the head, right? This is where we're going to see all of these players on a lot of comfort picks, something where we're expecting a lot of that synergy to shine through here for Qbert Academy. They're used to playing these roles together, and then also just mechanically as individuals as well. Nismo is one of the best KO players out there, and I'm really excited to see what he's going to be able to do up against Winthrop University, regardless of if it's the chamber or that Vice that we're expecting to see coming out from moves. I think that there's a lot of potential to be able to shut down those setups and how aggressively even the chamber pick could get isolated without that ability to TP away.
Now let's talk about the compositions that we've seen coming out from Winthrop University, because when we see the page, sometimes there's not that much information. Winthrop University, they're definitely an exception to that. We've seen quite a few different looks. The most recent being this chamber one. So how confident are they in running that back? Moobs has been somebody that we've need to step up from and has been able to deliver, but is this something where maybe you do go back to that Vice, Dan, to try and shut things down? Or are you looking for that fragging impact that you can achieve by yourself with this chamber pick?
I think for this team specifically, just knowing the way that they play, I much rather see moves on the chamber. I think this is a team that is the best when they're comfortable to frag out, and Moves has always been that player. When he's comfortable, when he's playing these silly slight changes of composition, that's when he's shining the most, and that's what has been allowing them in the past to win these maps. Again, that last time they played this map was at 13-8 against YFP, a match that we didn't really think it was going to go the way of Winthrop. It was the first one where we were like, wait a minute, how good is Winthrop actually? And big part of it was Moves. He has a really good understanding on how he wants to play this map of Fracture, especially because he's often playing by himself. And I think the biggest counter is going to be Nismo. Actually, sometimes likes to play by himself as well on the KO, getting a little bit of info for the team and then going on a solo mission. So it might be a duel between these two that you don't expect very often.
Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting to see how they look to go head to head with that, especially with that KO just being such a hard counter to the chamber, as far as one being able to flash him off those deep lanes that we're going to expect Nasi and Flare trying to set moves up on for those deep sight lines, but then also just that suppression, just denying that ability for moves to be a little bit more mobile with his rendezvous is going to be something to keep our eyes out for.
Let's have an agent select so we can get official confirmation if we do get to see the Frenchman in the server today, or if they are going to go back to the Vice to try and make sure they're not caught a little too off guard by what Qbert Academy has, especially in such a do or die match. Down one in the series, losing this sends them into the lower bracket. But we're going to get none of the above. Moves
Wait a
and
minute.
go into the chamber. I mean, not the chamber, the Cypher, the other one. My bad.
I like the chamber more. I was a fan of the chamber or the Vice more than the Cypher. I mean, you're gonna have a Tejo on this side, you're gonna have a Vice on the other side, you're gonna have Redux as well with Paint. There's so much that it doesn't make sense to me to see a Cypher being played right now on this map, or even to try to counter Sentinels.
And
Yeah, I think that you look towards the fact that I feel like on this map in particular, it can be really hard to get creative with those tripwires. It's pretty standardized with how you're going to expect those Cypher setups to look at this point. And the expectation is that a duelist like Redux, he's going to know where to throw the paint shells. He's going to know where to take down that utility and deny that value out from moves. So it'll be a very different look, I think, with Winthrop starting on the defense as well, because again, a lot of their early defense plan has to do with moves getting onto, an early angle, whether it's towards B main or A main, just getting that op online early on as well. But now he's going to have to play a little bit more bunkered, which is very different playstyle from what we're used to seeing from him.
And a little bit of changes from Qbert Academy. Knight's going to that Vise, and Nismo, who we were just praising for this KO, on the Tejo instead. Also very, very strong on this pick. And this composition that Qbert Academy have is a tough one to go up against. So we'll have to see if Winthrop University, they have enough to take it down, or if the rest of their time in the playoffs here is going to be for this lower bracket. Let's get into it. Let's go to Fracture and over to your casters, Keg and Tenrek.
Thanks, Sierra. Yeah, I got a whole rogues gallery today, man. I gotta get Keg out of the fridge today.
Yes, they took me out of cryostasis. What year is it? I heard a chamber?
Yeah,
Are we in 2022? No.
we were pretty close to it with Sentinels Qbert Academy's Metamorphosis here on Fracture.
There's Cypher? Whoa. I think we might be in a treat for ourselves. A Vice, that's right. That's an agent in the game. It's been so long, and I'm happy to be here again with you, Tenrek. You can't spell cryostasis without Ace, and I'm happy to be here. We have the duality now between the two Sentinels. We get to see if the malleability of the Vice can overthrow Moobs' valuability on that Cypher. And again, Moobs, he's been a fragging mastermind. He has been a top killer in the lobby. But as a Cypher, you have to relegate yourself a tiny bit more. Can he still make it work here?
Yeah. This is
one hell of an intro, I know.
Qbert personified. What? Good to have you back, man. Oh, in comes Redux. Big jump in. Infiltrator stops it early on, but Qbert's on top of it pretty quickly. Flare shots have to be pretty keen, and they are so far. T-Dog's stuck a little bit for the moment, but the smokes will hopefully deal with that. I'll just play in this game a keep away as Scuba gets the spike down, but Winthrop is a little on top of it. They're going to get a little proactive early on. Stealth drone to make sure that Knights can't fight this with more than just his gun, but that might just be enough. No, he's got a lot of power behind him. The Scuba 1v2 here with this Ghost in hand, but one's right on top of the spike and not fighting until after the other one's down, but Flare will do just enough to get Winthrop this first pistol.
Such a great early read from Winthrop, anticipating the B-side hit, setting up all their defensatory systems over towards the site, waiting for Qbert to push in. Didn't see a whole lot of that Sentinel action early on, but that's quite all right. Some stalling power came out, but it was through the powers of the pistols themselves. Now, we've seen how modern Fracture can be played, especially towards the northern hemisphere of the map. It's colder that part of Fracture, but it's been warmed up quite a bit by how much people are willing to attack and pincer B-sites so early on. That's not the case this time around, though, for Qbert. They played it very, what's the word? Coy? I've never understood what that word really meant. Regardless, though, we do get to see a little bit of that here on this eco round from Qbert. There is the Stinger buyout from Redux. He's going to be the one looking for that very anticipatory fight. Oh, he's going to have to back away, though. He already set down one smoke. Absolutely out-aimed that Vice Flash.
Step into arcade at the very least here. Redux, like you said, got to be that long arm. Fault line to clear away, and Moves is just going to cover himself. Blast pack to dissuade twice over, but he's still got a proper angle to deal with this, so a paint shell now has to be lobbed away at him to fully flush him away. It'll be Nismo taking the kill credit, and stepping out first into death, where Infiltrator will intercept Qbert Academy. You realize that there's no more damage they can do on this side. They've got to retreat, but Ollie's ready for that this time. No smoke to shroud them away, so this should be a clearing for the remainder, and indeed it will be. And look, I'm going to be honest.
I'm ready for it.
I think Dan hit it right on the head when she said that, or I think that Ash hit it right on the head when she said that Dan hit it right on the head. That Qbert Academy on this map is personified. The composition, save for Nismo and Knights, who did switch a sign of the times, but Scuba, T-Dog, and Redux are arguably on their best agents, and they are arguably some of the best in the country on those agents. This on paper should be a Qbert stomp when it comes to this attack push. It should come with so much blistering speed. Pistol nothing doing so far though.
I completely agree, but I will play devil's advocate. Winthrop's reads early on, although the first 2 rounds have been very sound. They've always had a very good idea about what Qbert's game plan at the beginning of the round could be. Again, early swarm comes up now. There is some util in return. But again, having that finger on the pulse now of Qbert is huge. It's going to fall to the hands of Knights on this lurk. If he gets identified, that means the B rotate won't be sound, and these early fights could be lost.
Infiltrator, another intercept. And he's going to be willing to step back into this as Qbert haven't made any ground. With Knight still making his way back over to South Spawn, but Ollie is ready for it. Shot is missed.
That opens up B site.
Should be a clean bonus from here. Too many things that Winthrop has to search for, and Qbert's walked through the hallway entirely. Moves. Nice shot on the Sheriff. He's going to try and get in front of this, now that the spike's been dropped. And all of a sudden, it's interesting again.
One enemy remaining.
Behind. Nismo now finds the shot through. And we're so back.
Oh, yeah.
3 standing for the bonus, and that's how they wanted things to look.
The script is being written how it should be read, at least thus far. Qbert, though, losing 2 bodies in that skirmish, do have to reinvest a little bit into this next round. Winthrop, again, they've looked at their best at the early parts, where they have Flare, sending out a swath of utility to find information. Ollie's holds in the back lines have been sound, great at least taking these 50-50s. Fortunate, though, it was lost against Knights and was not able to hold that B-side receptacle, so it didn't allow the pincher from the defense. Again, a very telling round this could potentially be. Northern part of the map now, only sign of defense outside of the tower, lacking nobody up top. It's going to be nothing but moves' utility.
And Qbert Academy are starting to feel really good about this tower clear, so Winthrop University are starting to feel really good about not even bothering to put anybody in it. Instead, this better stack up A site, and the potential for the rotation through Canteen is what they'll settle on, at least for this round for now.
They want to set up for the retakes.
Set up. Yeah, they want to be prepared to just fight it out once the smokes dissipate. They want to play the stalling game once they get on. And again, if you're going for the tower clear, you can do a good amount of hacky sack with these players with all of the incendiaries you've got. Yeah, the stealth drone is going to give you away pretty early on here, but the smokes will even sooner. Qbert just going to step on, moves, he's trying to get in front of it, and he dies.
Moves so close to Neural Theft too, you can't use that ult for info.
Yeah, it's a bit of a misstep here for Winthrop University, trying to play for the retake. At least the remainder of the team is now. Armageddon on site is just a tad bit late in Qbert Academy. Although they're a bit maliciously extended, they feel pretty confident at this point that they can hold their own. T-Dog gets his.
Backing up now, playing for the post play. Armageddon already used away by Winthrop. Down a body. They do have the operator from Infiltrator. That's going to be a hard sell to bring onto site. You don't want to lose that much utility, so much money right away.
Still got this Molly and this Orbital as Scuba as well, and so they're going to try and get ahead of that. Scuba now has to fight against Nasi for it. They could get on top of the spike. No one's here in time, and yeah, Scuba will be able to deal with that. Infiltrator will at least hold on to this operator and grab one more kill on the board, but we're tied up at 2.
That's right, Eco 2 for Qbert not looking the best, losing all but 1 in that last round. Could have been their round to secure their economy for a long time this attacking half, but unfortunately not to be. Armageddon used fairly early on, and remember, the falling of moves on B meant Neural Theft was not going to be capable to have any follow-through in the post-plant. So information not used that last round, but now that it's evened up 10 rec, we might be able to see here used maybe a bit more aggressively into the next round. But once again, a strong hold on B site follows, but Winthrop are choosing to push a lot of pressure on A main. They expected Qbert to switch things up and go back to A main's control, but instead it's a dual push, waiting instead for an aggressive play from the defenders who do not have any money outside the top parts of the map.
And all of this pressure is now placed on Infiltrator to hold it all down. He has the operator and the showstopper in hand. Honestly, with the rest of the Sheikah, I'm a little surprised they didn't give it to somebody else to let him just fully go in with this one and done ultimate. Just try and shave off as much as possible, but Hubert will try and do the same here. Sensing that raise right on top of him, and they'll enter through the vines. Good bit of chip done along the way just to Redux, but yeah, this is a pretty standard clear here from Cube, except for Moves, who is still standing here.
Oh,
Just spray through
okay.
that. Yeah, that's one way to deal with
That's
it.
a T-Dog moment.
Still has this operator, so it's not even too bad for Knights to try and swing this.
At this point, you don't want to risk that op again. Infiltrator's putting himself in a tough spot. But the rest of the team have Sheriff. There's no reason not to go in.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, all right. There's Flair's step out. No one covers it.
One enemy remaining.
But yeah, the rest of these players can't make it any farther down. Cube playing some tower defense this round, and Infiltrator will go back to the exact same spot to hold with this operator again.
We're coming into the Haven defense debacle now with A-Site, right? You have this operator, you've had it for so long, but if you're not finding impact with it within, I don't know, the first 45 seconds of a round, if a round even goes 45 seconds before the plant, right? You're not finding any impact with Infiltrator at all. He is, as we in the industry say, the tip of the spear. He needs to be the one to find that action. But he's relegated himself to the spot that's been cleared out almost every single round on B. And he's yet to find much impact outside of one kill on the retake. Hubert are taking so much free, valuable space outside of B. And now they might be able to do it from the southern angle.
Yeah, this is a new approach for them, and it'll give a chance, in theory, for Infiltrator to actually use his operator, or for Hubert to slice it off early. If this boom bot is placed in front of him, that tells him the Redux is already ahead of it, but Infiltrator will get back in front.
Wow, bold.
Yeah, extremely.
There.
After being flashed out, boom botted out, and twice over, assassinates Hubert on B. And what do you do from here? What is the call? It's not to rotate to A site. Winthrop are expecting that. Double down and reapproach again. Another pincer. The second claw of the crab.
There.
Even closer quarters now. Moves every excuse to hold down the vents continuously until further notice. Will actually step out first, see if they can get away with something. Infiltrator tosses the showstopper in for good measure and for high ground as well. Nismo, crucial miss in the one moment you might have had to yourself. That's all they'll get. We're tied back up at 3.
Wow, what a great hold again. Winthrop this time having Infiltrator take a much more aggressive approach. It's like he's telepathically listening to us, man. He knew that we were saying he was playing too passive, right? He steps in, he backs away, we're like, okay, it's another Infiltrator op round. But then after the orbital strike, he doubles back to B main and gets 2 off of it. I mean, sure, slightly mistiming from Hubert's side, right? But you're not expecting him to go old school FPS on you and do a 180 and snipe out your lurk. That's gonna shut down B for a while. I'm expecting Hubert to keep going A now.
Yeah, that was a great way to shut down B pushes for a good couple rounds at least. Redux, showstopper into the rolling thunder, doesn't even let it fully proc. And Infiltrator still holding with this operator though, so you've got to flush him away. Armageddon to do it. Down to the smokes he goes, but Hubert still don't have full control of this site. In fact, they're questioning whether or not they want it at all. The stack is here on A, and they don't want it, except for Nismo, who does find some smoke. And so it'll be a 4v3 for wherever Hubert to go from here, but Winthrop, they have plenty of time to be ready to intercept this.
It's going to be really difficult for Winthrop to re-clear. They're already down a body, plus Infiltrator again. We keep harping up on him, but the re-clear for B-side, it's going to be so difficult with an angle like that. But this was all a big fake. All a ruse to send Winthrop back over to B-side where that utility from Moob still exists. Those tripwires will never get procced. It's all a big fake towards A-site. I like this boom bot. If this doesn't find any information, and it won't,
30 seconds
it's going to
left.
sell the B-side attack that will never come.
full-blown push that Qbert execute beautifully. Infiltrator's operator now has even less power, but man, behind that guy, you wouldn't know it. Another? Oh! I was joking!
He's woken up. The sleeper cell has been activated.
Let's see if he does it again. He's still got to be the aggressor. This would be monumental if he can. Okay, all right. Oh, that would have been unreal. But instead, Qbert hold on, one still standing, and they'll take the lead back again. Man, Infiltrator continuing to keep things interesting.
I mean, great patience from Qbert, right? They're much more willing to play around the map. And now, I'll be honest with you, Tenrek, I wasn't able to watch a lot of Lotus. Again, the cryostasis takes a while to dethaw.
Right,
but
of course, of course.
From the ending of what I did see, Qbert, again, they are a team historically much more willing to play around with the larger picture of what a map has to bring. And sure, you go from 3 sites to 2, but you also gain the almost equal amount of lanes in what you can do for the attacking side. There's 4 potential angles now for Qbert, to entry in, and they're going to take full advantage.
Yeah, let's just get inside it now. Redux sprayed down to a crisp, though, and so he's got to hope he comes up with something soon. He's going to continue getting assaulted, and on top of that, Molly, WU are going to continue to try and press in, but Redux has found his victim. Nasi comes crawling in, and Qbert take personnel advantage out of the blue.
Continuing to break the economy of Winthrop now. Plenty of utility. That could be used by Winthrop. Great angling moves for 2. Needs to back away.
1 enemy remaining.
And you can hold that choke again, and Qbert are going to try and fight it. Winthrop win it completely and recover that round swiftly. Even again at 4, and it really just seemed anytime Qbert are forced to sort of make that choice to contest early on, Winthrop has always won out, but other than that, even still, Qbert mechanically looked better. It's going to come down a lot of this to, how Winthrop can time their counter pushes, and so far it's looking fantastic.
And that's always been the big ethos of Winthrop. Even remember as far back as stage 3 when they were, mainlining Neon directly into every comp, it was always prioritize taking fights, always take the kills, always have a body advantage. This was a round from Winthrop won by 2 angles. Barely any utility used outside of a smoke. So Qbert have to play this so much more carefully now. Satellite has rarely been procced by this team on the attacking side. They've at least shown presence early on. An aggressive smoke called out by Knights forces now Qbert to rethink their original strategy. Luckily for them, there's plenty of time left on the clock. But one thing we haven't seen in a while was that B hit. It was shut down pretty hard a few rounds ago.
Well, gang's all here.
Could you, in theory, force out Nasi's ult?
Oh, for certain. Beacon here.
Especially if you can scare the front line this hard. You've already used a lot to flush away at these steps. You heard from Ali, who is not dead yet, but getting pretty close to it with all this aggro util that Qbert will continue to use to push forward in the hallway.
30 seconds left.
And they're using the smoke actually to their advantage quite a bit here, making sure that they don't, Winthrop can't really recognize how many people are going to aggress up this stack. It's only Redux, and he's quickly countered away, but the rest of Qbert will now make their push known. They step through the smoke, sprayed through from the rifles, and it's all Winthrop in the kill feed this time around. They've got the lead keg.
Yeah, I can definitely see a vision where Qbert on their eco round want to try to force a panic ult from the breach on Winthrop's side, get rid of that possibility in the future for a fast B hit once rifles are back in their hands. Wrong multiverse. Instead, Sentinel's Qbert Academy, they opt to go for the timeout, and I think this is a very smart play. This has been a team where these initial contact plays have not worked out for them. They have a great strategic mindset about how they want to approach a round, but it's just a matter of getting the right positioning and, most importantly, finding the information of what positions Winthrop as individuals are taking for these fights to win it out. I mean, case in point, right? Evidence A is a 13-3 infiltrator.
He's definitely been the catalyst for a lot of these clears that, again, happen really all at once or not at all, for better or for worse for Winthrop University. The team play looks, I mean, really just unbelievably strong. The chemistry between these players is insane. I would say to some extent, even better than Qbert Academies. I mean, sure, they've been together longer, most of them.
Well,
anyway,
remember
so.
what the desk said, though. It takes a little bit for some of the players of Qbert to warm up, but when they do,
That's true.
they turn into a whole different beast. So I could definitely see a reality where Qbert here is a second half team.
Enemy remaining.
Certainly was the case the previous map. That was the only point in which they really started to level up and have a higher tier over Winthrop University, like I know so many Sentinels fans want to believe they are. But yeah, the proof is in the pudding here. And as we do have a quick tech pause, unfortunately.
Now, you and I go way back as casters. We've been casting together for a long time. Since the dawn of Valorant time, it feels like.
Yeah.
For a long time, when you and we were covering this map, it was Cypher that was the dominant Sentinel, especially on B site. Big reason was that Jett was finally getting phased out of the entry duelist meta. Raze was coming in, finding full fruition to get around a lot of B site and truly unlocking it. Yes, Vice has changed it a lot in the modern day, but that Cypher is really good about shutting down a Raze when, as hard as it can be, the tripwires are undiscovered and does stop the duelist in their tracks. And that's been a big stall factor.
Yeah, it's true. Moobs has been switching up where he's been placing him pretty frequently just to keep Redux on his toes because Qbert's clears, if you haven't noticed, have all been pretty vanilla the past couple rounds, recycling the same 2 or 3 areas and pushes with them, trying to just win out the fights for it. Tell Qbert they just really want to fix every blemish that comes across them, and there's another infiltrator stepping out and stepping back in with this shorty. Are you joking, dude? Winthrop's gonna get it all done with pistols this time, thanks to that steel garden that's forced upon them. And then Scuba still can't finish him off either. This is a collapse of a round for Qbert Academy. Let's keep this going.
Just such a solid read, playing around these sky smokes brought out by both sets of brimstones. And referring back to Moobs, right? We saw his utility spread out between B site and A. There was no direct idea in mind for Winthrop post timeout about where they thought Qbert would attack. But what they did instead is that they spread their forces out, played around the attacker utility scene, and case in point, Infiltrator sneaking in one shot before the steel gardens procced out, really stalled out Qbert in their tracks. They need a way to secure this first blood.
And it'll start again at doors. One of the weaker areas so far this map. As Winthrop have been too early to fight it too often. Gonna try and flush out Moobs. He's doing a good job though, going around this util, but Flare just jumps directly into the fight. There you go, Moobs. That's 2. Let's see how much more he finds. You're throwing everything but the kitchen sink at this guy to deal with it. But Ollie's orbital strike takes care of the rest of the crowd. And it's got to be just Knights against the world here. So much in his way, including that steel garden. But it'll be Winthrop University coming out on top this round again.
Last round.
Even with Moobs identify, he gets a collat headshot. Unbelievable. 9 times out of 10, a player in Moob's spot would just simply die. I mean, they were forced out by so much of Nismo's utility. Again, even the kitchen sink, I think, was thrown at him, and that wasn't enough to stop the power anchoring from Moobs. And again, it comes down really to these entry points from Qbert Academy. We're not seeing a lot of lurking prowess being done by Knights. It's a lot of rushing early on to fish again for the opening pick. Maybe now, on this final round, we can see Knights get more space given early on. His positioning could give a big tell if Winthrop rotate from B side to A. But I love how aggressive this defensive team is playing too.
And moves again, so ahead of the situation, misses his first shot, but hits his second one, and with the gun diff that specifically they had, was able to win out at least one. Qbert again have to reconsider.
Rotate's been called. Qbert a lot of the time had faked out these mid rounds. Knights has gained some space, has not heard any rotates yet. Everyone's been slow and silent from Winthrop's side. Qbert are not aware at all about Infiltrator playing so deep into the attacker spawn. In fact, this tells Winthrop that this has to be a B hit from Arcade. Everything else has been re-cleared.
And Winthrop will be fully prepared for this again. Showstopper and orbital strike to fully sense out the site, but that's not where the majority of this is. In the pipes. That's one gone. Now it's Infiltrator's operator you got to deal with. You step into this open space and you're toast. Paintshell's actually giving him away just to stall away against this spike plant that he'll still get away with. Scuba immediately running into Flare's LOS though. And now it's Infiltrator's turn to get this showstopper up and running. Screw that operator. He wants to get up close and personal as Ollie takes the back seat. And good reason too. Infiltrator's good for the one. Before Knight shuts that back down. Now he's stuck in tower. He's the next victim on their list. But Redux playing that wall breaker from the other side now. And that'll be a decisive victory for Qbert Academy. Taking this to a 5-7 half.
Great confidence rebuilder for Qbert there. Knights, again, has been one of the top fragger prospects going into Challengers this year. Absolutely shows it once more. Really love that mid-round rotate from Qbert. I'm honestly surprised off of the tack timeout we didn't see that sooner, but it worked to great effect.
So, I mean, swapping sides here, one of the biggest questions for me is what his moves shift to? Because you cannot play nearly the same kind of game that Knights has been playing, sticking these shears 15 miles away from you. It's got to be a little more active, and you're going to have to look behind you a little more often for these stair peaks and especially these spawn swings.
It really comes down to what Qbert want to do, right? Are they going to flank? You could set up a tripwire also 15 miles away, and that could catch somebody out. Change your entire attacker strat off of someone out of position.
Brony's down.
Yeah, onus is on Qbert to act, and them to win as well. Take this to a 2-0 and safely make their way to the winners finals to meet up against Shopify.
Stack up on A.
Yeah, they're ready for it.
Crossfire.
H2, Redux peeks in early for it and grabs the first. Good chip damage done along the way, and all Winthrop can do is throw a petty salvo and paint shell at the problem to try and find Redux anyway. Nothing doing there. Now comes the drop peek moves. That's an easy one. No attention paid to this. And now entry from the rest of Winthrop. It's beautiful.
Boobs has just been a specter in this lobby.
Now it's Knights. Arc Rose in hand. Nothing left but the presence on site to deal with. Everybody's here for it. This is heard. First step. Options running thin. Time running low. No reason for anybody here to peek it. Knights is waiting for the impossible to happen. And it won't. There's one. Ollie being the lowest in the health pool. Worthwhile to let him go first. Another pistol for Winthrop off the backs of Qbert, just not ready for this creep back from Moobs, who's now up to 13.
Really well coordinated from Winthrop. And the fact that you could be so well coordinated and again have this one player, again, playing the lurking wall of the attack very well. Again, only one round so far, has worked wonders to be the big win condition for Winthrop to gather a lot of these rounds, has been solid. There's a very real process back now that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure the graphics before we came to this map said that Qbert was unlosable on Fracture so far. This is a Winthrop that's a very studious team at that, has done their homework.
Yeah, this new comp from Qbert still has some kinks to work out as it appears, but certainly more game to play and more attacks that Winthrop has to initiate. Here's another one. Infiltrator has a lot more fun with this gun on the entry. Rest of Winthrop taking a bit of time. Camera's going to catch Redux on the flank nice and early. And that's Moves already finding new ways to contribute.
Down B.
Fun aftershock to deal with the first plant attempt, but again, it's the small victories that Qbert will settle for this round.
It's just a matter of seeing now that rifles will come into the hands of both of the teams this next round. How things will change out. That was Qbert's opportunity to bring things back, but T-Dog, Nismo, two classics. I mean, we've seen wilder things so far. Could be possible, but time is dwindling away. T-Dog's gone. Yeah. And Moves once more, absolutely farming in this server. I mean, Infiltrator was really the star of the show early on, but what's the KD of Moves now? Are we still trailing behind Infiltrator? Only by 2 kills. 16 and 9 is certainly nothing to scoff at.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, he's been getting in both the front and the back way too often here
They found my wire.
on these opening 2 rounds, and it's already netted him getting 1 orb away from this neural theft. So Winthrop University, especially this round, will probably have a good deal of flexibility when it comes to what they can put a weak side onto. And Hubert, again, they just have to expend individual after individual to try to cut it short. Or grab, big arc rose, it's just sprayed down. Knights is peering into way too much. And he grabs absolutely nothing out of it except a little bit of chip damage on the 2 Winthrop players.
Winthrop are thriving off these opening engagements, able to give them this opportunity to have a advantage fight, going into these executes every round thus far. And once more, it's absolute chaos. Smokes are everywhere. This is the thriving ground of Winthrop. They love to dip in and out of it.
They've been allowed to. Cubert's trying to do the same thing, go for some non-committal picks, but Winthrop keeps chasing them down the moment they're spotted. It's pretty terrifying to watch at this point. Redux leaps and bounds in for at least 1, but the same angle that Nismo is coming all the way from, so it's a little difficult to do anything with it. Armageddon very late in this post plant to try to throw off this Cubert take back, and I think it's done its job.
Yeah, I would say so too. I wonder if Cubert could even hear that the Armageddon had gone off and how far away they were. But I mean, that's also a flex too from Winthrop, right? They're double the rounds now over Cubert. Flair might be thinking like, you know what? Yeah, we can use the Armageddon a little silly. We just got away with that, and we could definitely bring this to map 3. Only 3 more rounds needed to do so. And
Yeah.
this is coming from a team that lost their map pick too. It's, I mean, maybe it's a little bit of a sore spot to mention it so soon, but with M80, they did such a great job cracking out their counter strategies for rankers just a few days ago. I'm sorry, Envy a few days ago, right?
Yeah.
And Winthrop, essentially the same, had all this extra time to prepare for a match like this, studying how Cubert play on a big level. And they have had the proper reads almost every round.
Yeah, they've really, I mean, they've had a lot of film to be able to look at for this team. And after the matchup against Core, there are a lot of weaknesses that Winthrop were definitely able to spot. Scuba, there's a non-committal pick, and he's going to search for another one now that Shear's activated, and Infiltrator's the only attacker on site, but he's managed to stay hidden for quite some time. Wrap around from behind, though, from Cubert is swift and strong. T-Dog now 3 kills deep in this, and now it's just Infiltrator left. He's made it all the way back to mid, and Scuba's figured that out by this point. Flawless round 16 to restabilize Sentinel's Cubert Academy.
Yeah, dancing around for the opening picks once more. Cubert anticipating it, waiting for it. T-Dog destroying it. 11 and 15 now, top of at least his team. It's up to Winthrop now to see if they're going to continue to look for these opening fights even more than before. It's a scary prospect for Cubert. On the attacking side, they kept falling for fishing for the first 30 seconds, and then that ended up not working for them. This time again, though, they have strong re-clear potential outside of A main. Very large stall with the Shears inside of B. Just a matter of seeing again on this lurk from Boobs if that's going to have any tangible impact.
And we'll see how much he can get done while Winthrop goes searching. Cubert continuing to hold this lane close in the hallway. Who will be the first to strike? Winthrop.
Those got the util for it.
Stealth thrown out. Shot down by one side. Who sees it? Infiltrator for 2. Nismo re-swings it. Also 2 down. Does Winthrop press this? They will. Nismo 3. Ali finally transfers it back down. But a 2v2. Moobs luckily has made it all the way through drop already. And so they have the site pretty clean and plain, but they're going to use the molly just to keep it nice and tidy.
Just buying time now. Want to guard the bodies from Night's End, make sure Moobs cannot get nearby for that neural theft to secure the 2v2 info.
Smoke's down.
Ollie first point of contact, drop smoked away. Ollie smoking himself off.
Last player standing.
Knights creeps in, Ollie checks him.
Molly.
Now Molly placed on drop to try to keep off Moobs. Scuba has to do all the checking, but doesn't realize that Ollie's already made it back all the way to spawn. and can just check this so easily.
Hold on your head.
No time for Scuba, no chance for Qbert. It's 11 now for Winthrop.
The amount of hero plays from Winthrop, from each of their teammates, has been unbelievable. I think at this point, on Fracture alone, every player of Winthrop has had a highlight moment. Clutching up a round, forcing out yet another timeout from Sentinel's Qbert Academy. The stars were shining bright for them for that one round on the defense. They were able to break the stride that Winthrop had started off of their not even, the end of their own defense. Into, well, almost the end of their own defense, into these next few rounds. But because of that, again, ults are almost built up now by Qbert. They could try to fight for these early orbs on the northern side of the map again. Maybe try to figure out where moves is early on, and at least then they'll know the lurk is gone. It has to be the opposite side of where the bulk of Winthrop has to be attacking. And then you gather up all these ults just to keep oppressing down Winthrop. That could be the game-winning move here to help leverage some of these rounds.
Yeah, just to bully your way through until you can get a snowball going. And like you said, find the members you can pick off with all of this extra time you've got. And worry about the space making on the main lanes later. It's already been, you know, pretty heavily countered by Winthrop from time to time. We'll see them start their approach on B main this time. No arcade presence at the moment. In fact, no dish either. And Qbert already has to send some resources over there.
Scuba is close to the orbital strike. Early salvos are out from B main. Smoke's down instead. The re-clear up arcade could give some massive tells, but this positioning from Qbert, are they watching the underbelly of B site? No one ever checks the sewers. It's where the alligators live. An infiltrator, he has a bite. But they choose to back away. They're giving up the majority of B site to hand back over A. Winthrop are taking this so slow. They're waiting to see what the big change for Qbert was off of that timeout. I love this change of pace.
Moves now back in the drop space. Redux has kept himself hidden for now. Sheer on top of him too, so he can play for heavy cover. No smoke covers him. Redux whiffs the shot. Orbital strike in showstopper to chase Redux down, and it's Moves that intercepts him with the cover fire, actually.
30 seconds
Two
left.
ults thrown into the site to claim it. That should be enough for Winthrop University here. And Armageddon thrown on defensively. Qbert, are they going to use that to fight at all? It doesn't look like they can.
18 seconds.
They have to use everything else. Now blind on. Infiltrator fights that out. Moves holds that. Now you can get the spike down.
10 seconds left.
Right? No? Scuba distracting. Spraying. Moves able to hold that down.
He gets it down.
Okay, you do get it down in time. And all the while, you won all your duels too. So all that stall work that Qbert tried to do is for nothing. And they still, all these ults just sitting in the bank as we're at game point.
You know, I hate to boil it down for Winthrop, down to just positioning, but really, you get rid of all the other ingredients. That's the core of what you have left for this team. It's been a team, again, that's always prioritized loving, taking fights, but again, each player has their own micro-strat in mind to shut down Qbert. And with the mess that had become A-Site, it's no wonder that Infiltrator was able to get away with some shenanigans up on top. One more round now for Winthrop. A shocking scoreline, frankly. 12-6 now. Only one more needed to bring things to game 3. Ali, a huge opening.
Wow.
T-Dog now gone. An economy for Qbert broken.
You can just tell this Winthrop team is feeling too confident to lose on this map at this stage. Map 3 feels inevitable after we really thought that Qbert were the team that were leveled up. Nah, we're here in winter semis for a reason. The extension back out from Moves into CT spawn this time, and Dismo on the Wiser.
One enemy
This is
remaining.
a complete dissection. We see a flawless winning round here. It's all on Ali, theoretically. Oh, now it's on Flare. And no, now it is on Ali.
Attackers
13-6 victory here on Fracture. Folks, we're going to map 3. Winthrop University does indeed have that dog in them.
I mean, for such a complex map, Winthrop made it look so simple. This was a 101 class for Winthrop University, and they aced it with spades. Round after round, the same architecture plan of waiting for these opening fights, taking the positions, and honestly, guys, it's just GG from there. Take the fights and win them.
Yeah, that aggression that Winthrop University was able to manifest consistently drove so many of those fights, and I mean the hero moments just kept on coming and coming and coming. Moob's definitely my MVP for the match there, but yeah. Everyone contributing really heavy to that.
Oh man, it's tough. I want to say Moves is MVP too. I think you're right. But again, you really can't take away the credit from everybody else on Winthrop. They each had their own highlight specialty moments. And Infiltrator, it was also somewhat of a slow start. But at one point, he had like a 3 KD. That's pretty damn good.
Every single person in this lobby at this point making their case. It'll all end on map 3. Who's moving to winners finals? Who's getting knocked down? We'll find out after the break.
I'd say it's a little bit different. It's a different aspect. It's like picking up any new player, different personalities, different backgrounds, like different amounts of experience. So I'd say it's a challenge in its own aspect. Especially like with Timotino, he's less experienced, hasn't played challengers before, but he's like proven me a lot. He's made me proud. So I'd say just like teaching them what our system is, because every team has different systems. It's like, what is the system for core? So that's like been the biggest thing. We've been like preaching that, like, yo, we do things like this way here. Like maybe you did it on this team, but like this is how we do it here. Like we're gonna do stuff like this, right? So just teaching them like our way, like the core way. I guess like consistency is like a big one, I'd say. And that's still a big challenge for every single team, including this one. We're still trying to find like our footing, our consistency. But I would just say like the mood's always high, no matter what. We lose a couple rounds and it's like, all right, whatever, like next round mentality. We like to have that like short-term memory loss. Like who cares? We get 1v5 next round, doesn't matter. We get, I don't know, something happens, op collateral and a clutch, like it doesn't matter. We're always going to the next round. We're always in high spirits, and we just try to focus on winning that next round. I would say consistent improvement. We're gonna work hard every single day, day in, day out. We had our first match already. We won map 1. We ended up getting reverse sweeped. Tough loss, but there's so much to learn from these matches, right? You can learn a lot from scrims, but match reps are like so much different. And you just learn so much more, like how people react to certain situations. So I'd say throughout every single match this season, you're going to see improvement. And we are really trying to dominate this season when it comes to the end of it. So maybe week 1, maybe week 2 won't look so good, but by the end of the season, like we'll look good. We're like low experience as a team. We just started practicing like a few weeks ago as a 5, compared to some other teams who've been together for months, potentially even like last season. So we're still working together. We're still trying to find our footing, but just consistent improvement.